Hello students, today we will see the second class of layout manager is border layout manager. The border layout class implements a common layout style for top level window. It has four narrow fixed width component at the edge and one large area in the center, and the four sides are referred to the north, that means upper region, then south means lower region, and east means left region, and west means right regions. The middle area is called as the center, called as the central region. There are five zones, one for each component. First is here the public, static, final, int, north, south, east, west, and center. These are the five components, five zones. Then for constructor for border layout class, first is border layout empty. It create a border layout but with no gaps between the components. And second is J border layout, int horizontal gap and vertical gap. It create a border layout with the given horizontal and vertical gaps between the components. Here the one example for AWT and Swing together. That's why here they declared Java X Swing package. Then border class border, JFrame frame, F here the empty border constructor, and F is equal to new frame, new J frame, and here the J button B1 is equal to north J button. Here the five buttons declared north, south, east, west, and center. Then add these buttons with their layout into the frame. Then how to add this button? By using this fashion: f dot add b1 border layout dot north. Then for south as like this, south, then east, west, and center. These five buttons added into the frame. Then set sides, set visible, and here the border, this border is in just call the new border. Then when we run this program, then we will get this border layout. Here we have already seen there are the four referred slides. Then here the north, east, west, south, and middle is center. This is called as the border layout manager. Then third is grid layout manager. The grid layout is used to arrange the components in two-dimensional grid. When we instantiate a grid layout, we define the number of rows and columns. The grid layout manager place atoms in the row, that means left to right, and columns, that means the top to bottom. The number of rows and columns is defined when the grid layout manager is created. And the grid layout manager divides the container into the rectangle grid so that components can be placed in row and column. The intersection of each row and column is known as a cell. Here the component are laid out in cells, and each cell has the name size. Components are added to the grid layout starting the top left cell to the grid and continuing to the right until the rows is full. Here the constructor for layout class, grid layout class. First is grid layout empty. Constructor create a grid layout with one column per component in a row. Then second is grid layout int rows int column. It create a grid layout with the given row and column but no gaps between the component. Then grid layout int rows columns, horizontal gap and vertical gap. Create a grid layout with the given rows and columns along with given horizontal and vertical gaps. Then for example for grid layout manager, here the declare AWT and Swing package, then class JFrame F, then my grid layout empty, here the frame, and just added the button JFrame B1, B2, B3, B4, and name 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then 6, 7, 8, 9. These are the 9 buttons added into the grid layout. Then add these buttons into the frame. F1 dot add B1, B2, B3, B4 as like B9. Then set layout, here the F dot set layout is equal to new grid layout 3 by 3. That means grid layout 3 rows and 3 columns. Then set size 300 into 300, set visible true, and here the main method my grid layout. Then when we run this program, here the 3 by 3 layout grid layout is created, and this is the 9 buttons 1 to 9. Then fourth is GridBagLayout manager. The Java AWT layout manager is the most powerful and flexible of all the predefined and layout manager, but more complicated to use. Unlike the grid layout where the components are arranged in the rectangular grid and each component in the container is forced to be the same size, in GridBag layout, then components are also arranged in the rectangular grid but can have different size and can occupy multiple rows and columns. Then Java GridBagLayout class is used to align component vertically, horizontally, or along their baseline. Then components may not be same size. Each GridBagLayout object maintains a dynamic rectangular grid of cells, and each component occupies one or more cells is known as its display area. Then here the example for GridBagLayout manager. Here it is used only by AWT, AWT dot button, then AWT dot grid bag constraint and grid bag layout, then swing. Here the grid bag layout example extend to the JFrame, then main method grid bag layout example is equal to new grid bag layout example. Then here the grid bag layout. Then it contains the first is grid bag layout is equal to new grid bag layout. Then here second is grid bag constraint, then set layout, then set title, here the title layout example. Then grid bag layout is equal to new layout, then set layout, then grid bag constraint dot, here this is horizontally, that's why here the horizontal, and set the grid, here the 0 0, and second is new button 1, and their grid 1 0. Then button 2, here the horizontal and its grid set by 0 20 is equal to, then grid dx and dy 0 1. Then button 3 there 1 1, and grid button 4 0 2. Then grid back constraint horizontal, grid width is equal to 2. Then these 5 buttons added, button 5 added to the this. Then set size, preferred size, get size, set visible, and last is set default close operation, exit on close. That means when we click on the this exit button, frame will be closed. This it used for the set default close operation, exit on close. Here the iPad X and iPad Y, it is used to define the horizontal and vertical expansion of the component, but it does not work in expansion. It required by field the default value 0 0. Here the 0 0, some 0 1. Then here also one of the grid X and grid Y, it shows the coordinate of the origin of grid and it allows the positioning. And when we run this program, then we will get the output. Here we have added the button 5, button 1 2 3 4 and 5, and these are the at the middle side. That means where we have a size the grid X grid Y maintain, that's why this is at the middle side. Then last class is layout manager. The last class is CardLayout manager. The CardLayout class manages the component in such a manner that only one component is visible at a time, and it treats each component as card. That is why it is also known as the CardLayout. Then CardLayout manager provides the means to manage multiple components, displaying one at a time, and these components are displayed in order to which they are added layout in the arbitrary order by using assignable name. The CardLayout class is a unique among the other layout manager in that it stores the several different layout. Each layout can be though of being some separate index card to check the shuffled so that card is on the top of the given time. and it having the constructors. First one is the card layout empty constructor. It create a card layout with 0 horizontal and vertical gap. Then second is card layout int h gap and int v gap. That means create the card layout with the given horizontal and vertical gap. Then methods of card layout class. Public void next container parent. It is used to flip to the next card of the given container. Second is public void previous container parent. It is used to flip the previous card of the given container. Then first, it is used to the first card of the given container. Then last, this method is used to flip the last card of given container. And last method is show container parent and string name. It is used to flip the specified card with the given name.